Good day and welcome to Fireside with me, Madhavan Narayanan. It's been an interesting journey for us, and today we focus on the idea of the journey itself, Yatra to be precise. I have with me Dhruv Shringi, the CEO and co-founder of Yatra.com, its Chief Operating Officer Sabina and Chief Technology Officer Manish Amin. It's been an interesting journey they have been cooking up for the travel industry, or rather journeying about journey, you can say. And so here we go, finding out more about what travel means for Yatra and Yatra means for travel. And we are trying to figure out about Yatra's Yatra today,
Sure.
Dhruv. So Dhruv, named after the pole star.
That's right.
Just the right guy to found a startup on travel, right? Yeah. So tell me how the idea was born. I mean, you were all with eBooker.
That's right. Yeah. So we were all with eBookers, and there's a bit of history to this. eBookers got acquired in the middle of 2005. So 31st of May 2005, eBookers got acquired. I was helping the promoter at that point in time sell the business. But one of the things that happened as part of that acquisition, and I was that time the COO, within the first week or so, I got laid off. And as is tradition over there, Manish, myself, and about 5-6 other guys in my team, we all went out for drinks. Mm-hmm. And in that moment of Dutch courage, the idea of Yatra was born. Mm-hmm. So there were 5 of us back then. We tried to raise capital. It's like a treasure hunt, right? Went all over the place, meeting one investor who points you to another, who gives you a contact of a third. So that went on for about 5-6 months.
This was in London?
Yeah? This was in London, yeah. And then finally managed to get 3 investors on board, which were Norwest Venture Partners, Reliance ADAG Group, and Network 18.
Pretty heavy duty.
So these were big hitters at that point in time, right, who came in as the initial investors. But once we had closed that and it came time to move to India, unfortunately, out of the 5 of us, only Manish and me landed on the ground. The other 3, for whatever personal reasons, did not make it here. And we were fortunate enough that Sabina, who was at that time heading eBookers India, decided to take the plunge. And she can give you more context as to why and how she took the plunge. But it was great for us to have her on board, and that's how the journey started with the 3 of us.
So you have to explain, Sabina, it was a crowded marketplace. We had already thought that Clear Trip and Make My Trip were there and been there and done that. So it was a bit of a late start for you, isn't that a...
Not really, because at that time only Make My Trip had started. Clear Trip started around the same time or post us. But
okay.
It was not crowded at all. And Make My Trip had just started initially. And that also after I tied up with, I actually spoke with them. Make My Trip came into being only then. Mm-hmm. Not so much, but it was the first couple of months only when we started talking about this. So it wasn't very crowded at all.
Oh, I never realized that. I thought they had started a couple of years later and they were high profile. And
so Make My Trip started in 1999-2000 era, right? They focused on the US travelers into India. So that's where they started. And then 2005, early part of 2005, they launched the India business. So the context that Sabina is referring to is that, we guys were then going to compete with them in the India ecosystem. And when we were going through the treasure hunt of raising capital, we came across Clear Trip, who were also doing the same. We came across Travel Guru, who were also trying to raise capital at that point in time, right? And then subsequently, we acquired Travel Guru in 2012. Mm-hmm. But one of the key things for us when we were looking at it and talking about how competitive the landscape could potentially become, the thing that gave us confidence and gave the investors the confidence about us was the fact that we guys had done this before.
But I'm very keen to know, from outside it looks like it's a very cutthroat kind of a business. Is that how it is?
It is a competitive business, for sure. I think...
you have Goa Ibibo as well?
Absolutely. So, over the years, we've had Goa Ibibo who came in. Then there are some other fringe players today as well who exist, be it people like Ease My Trip or Happy Easy Go or Paytm coming in every now and then into the category. But what we've realized is that you need to have saliency of the brand. Yatra has been for the last 10 years one of the most well-recognized travel brands. In addition to that, you need to be able to service your customers and provide them with a great experience. See, the switching cost out here in our category on the consumer side, and I'll talk about corporate separately, on the consumer side is relatively low. So you need to make sure that for every transaction, you deliver a spot-on experience.
Sorry about this, Dhruv. It sounds a little trite to say that, we give great service. So I want to know what is really unique to your business model, as in whether it's from the point of view of the way you manage the backend or the consumer.
Sure.
What makes you special,
Right.
every night?
If you look at a more macro business model point of view, I think the business model is quite differentiated. And let me explain that how. Today, not many people know, we are by far the largest player in the corporate travel space in India. Right?
Okay.
So Yatra for Business today is the largest player in that category. About 4 years ago, we started building out a SaaS platform for large corporate travelers. So this is something which will integrate into their ERP systems, into the HR system. Their employees will download the app, they will log into the desktop, right? And it will manage all their workflows and provide a seamless experience to the company. You've got a scenario in India where disposable income is relatively low, right? Per capita GDP, $2,200. It doesn't leave you with a large enough market for consumer travel. Large parts of the spends in India, about 2/3 of them actually happen on business and business-related travel. Now, when you look back 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? 50 years ago when all of us started working, right? 50 in some case, 10 in some others, right? At that point in time, for most of us coming from, a middle class, lower middle class households, our first exposure to travel happened when we got a job, right? That's when you got a passport, that's when you got sent abroad, and that's how you got exposed over a period of time. So what we realize is that in India, you've got low transaction value of products because the consumer cannot pay more. But you've got an intensely high cost of acquisition given the competitive environment because everyone's chasing that billion people dream. But that dream will become reality at some point in the future, whether it's a 5-year future or 10-year future. But you need to find a way of bridging from here till there.
I think you're a tech guy here, right?
Yeah, correct.
So I want you to tell me what it means. You spoke about the SaaS platform services, the software. That basically means that you create a software box within the whole Yatra module, which enables corporate customers to deal with, right? So tell me what's unique about your technology backend and picking up from where Dhruv said.
So from an integration point of view, we have a backend integration where all the suppliers are connected directly into the system. Out of the central system, we have ability to define different rules and policies depending on the line of business. So for B2C customer, there's a different rule. For B2B customers, B2B again, Dhruv mentioned, we also sell to nearly 20,000 travel agents in India. So we have a different rule based on the commissions, the credit pool where we collect some money from the travel agents first, and they buy from that pool.
So each business model.
In there. On the corporate side, one of the other things that we also did was we have the captive audience of the corporate customers. What we also did on our app was also put our personal travel. So if a corporate customer has a corporate app, he can also book his personal travel from there. On a corporate, there's a lot of approval that they need to go for. So for example, if I'm traveling more than 4 hours, maybe I'm allowed to travel business class. So that approval needs to come from my line manager. All that is built in the flow.
Basically, there's a huge amount of ERP element or enterprises which is not normally visible to a travel kind of a company that brings in. So what does it mean for your technology team? How big is your team? Is this all in-house?
It's all in-house. We have about 120 people altogether.
In Gurgaon?
In Gurgaon. Gurgaon and Bangalore. We have 2 development centers. But majority of the people sit in
So do you have intellectual property as in a patent or something like that? Or is it more like customizing it?
We have filed a couple of patents. We're just waiting for that.
How big is the Yatra team as it is? Not just the techies, but others?
I think completely about 2,000, if I'm not mistaken, approximately 2,000 people. So from, I think from technology to strategists to analysis to operations, then, business development, we have all aspects. So when Manish says he's built a platform, we need to take it to the market. And with this advantage that what he's built, what he's explained to you, when we go out to the market, our sales team, we are the best. So we have everything that a customer can require. And I think the advantage is that it's in-house. So every customer today comes back with a different aspect that he wants. He wants to add on an approval mechanism. He wants to have XYZ hotels and not block these hotels, or he wants only a certain category of hotels.
I call it Bhelpuri computing.
Yes.
Like you make it choose like a Bhelpuri or a pizza. And which topping is yours?
The point is, we have that with us where he can pick and choose. And I don't think there is anything else in the market that offers that to a customer. that variety of products that we have and the flexibility of having technology. So we have a lot of these arguments where I say, I need this, and
I hold it. I was going to ask you about the argument. Actually, it all looks so nice when you're saying it's easy for the customer and all that. But I find it very messy and gooey. That we've already discussed a bit of the technological messiness, but there is a people angle to this. I've come from a newsroom background. I know what it means to have reporters and editors and producers around. So I'm sure you have something like a creative chaos in your travel kind of thing.
So we have a lot of teams. So when you say, there is a team which is out there acquiring customers, there is a creative team, there is a people who are actually fulfillment, the executors. When the booking falls in and they execute the whole thing, they make sure that the entire platform is
And if they don't get it
seamless.
right, the customer executes them.
So they are the front enders, so they hear it from the customer. Whereas Manish then indirectly, which is still a little more polite, what he hears from us. So we still don't have any holds power.
You are the sponge that for Yatra, that everybody shock absorber in the team?
Not really, not the shock absorber. I'm the blaster, if you call him what he is.
Some of the practices from the tech point of view, what we do is I also send my developers to go and sit with the operation guys.
Yes.
To see what sort of calls are coming in, what are the customers asking, how are the users processing the whole booking. We try and automate those manual processes.
So he actually really on a lighter note, on a very serious note.
Making the geeks talk to the customer service people is ultimate gyan in this, right?
Because that's where you learn, right? That's where the pain.
And his team actually sits within us in reviews and understands where the challenges come from, which makes it completely seamless.
Apart from all the platforms, iPhone, iOS, and Android, and
no, his team is actually very participative. Though I never let him know that when we are backend, but really they actually try and understand what a customer wants and where it's coming from, what we have committed to. Sometimes we, to pick up the business, you commit on certain things, and he makes sure he tries to fulfill as.
This is my point to ask you. Since you were born in London, it's a company that acquired Indian citizenship later. I'm just joking. But, European travelers are not like Indian travelers. And, we've already heard a bit of that from Dhruv about the budgets and stuff. But there's also a cultural thing, right? So, tell me about that.
I've always stayed in India, so I've not moved out except for vacations or all. So I used to head the India operations as such. So my exposure has been to India. But when I worked for ebookers, while we were in India, we managed all UK customers. So for us, there had to be a change in management. So while I was in India, I was working with European customers. I was not working with Indian customers. So it was a complete change of mind. They are completely different from each other. This is more deal focused. What is the deal that I can get from you?
That's interesting. No, but I want to come to you because it's one thing to be born as a company, but then you're going through some other changes. You're in the process of a merger with eBix, and then they have their own connection with Via.com, right?
Sure, yeah.
So this all looks like a soap opera to me. You have three companies going around with each other. You better tell us what this means. It's confusing for me. How does the relationship work, and where do you see yourself, where do you see it going actually?
So what eBix is trying to do, they're trying to create, they're actually one of the largest insurance software exchanges in the world and listed on the Nasdaq. In India, there are two verticals that they're trying to focus on. One is financial services, so which will include things like Forex, things like money transfer, and the other is travel. Okay, on the travel side, they currently have some assets like Via, Mercury, etc. The idea is to combine Yatra and other travel assets that they have and create one of the largest travel companies for the Indian market. And this travel company, as opposed to either being B2C focused or B2B focused, will be the largest omni-channel play in the country. So I feel it's a very synergistic transaction.
It's like finance marries travel kind
of
right.
Yeah.
But it's a long bit of dating. The merger is still going.
I mean, it's a complex process. They're both US listed entities. We're both listed on Nasdaq. So we have to go through a lengthy approval process, shareholder approval and regulatory approval process in the US. And we anticipate that by March, the transaction will close, March 2020.
And we're really looking forward to it to become even more stronger when two organizations join together. There's a lot of synergy which comes through. So we look forward
to... I've been reading those McKinsey stuff. They always say these mergers are, they have huge, always clash of egos, clash of cultures. Have you experienced any of that so far?
See, I think in our own Yatra experience, let's talk about that. We've made 3 reasonably large-sized acquisitions, right? from ranging from Travel Guru, which we acquired in 2012, to ATB, which we acquired right now about a couple of years ago. And what we've realized is that in terms of integration, you need to follow a certain approach to integration. You cannot be, leave it open-ended. If you leave it open-ended, then there turns out to be this scenario where there's a lot of domain protection that's happening, turf protection, cultural wars, etc. So the approach we've taken is assimilate quickly, do whatever steps need to be taken, right? If there is pain, take that pain on the chin and then move on, so that then from there onwards, you're one organization.
You sound like a marriage counselor, Dhruv.
I wish I could apply that in personal life as well, right?
That's interesting. We always use M&A is always like a marriage, you've got to have that combination.
And most M&As fail.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question actually in the first place.
Absolutely is correct that most M&As do fail, but that's where you need to be more intensive in terms of, doing the transaction and the deal is the easy part. How you integrate from there on is the much more challenging part of it.
In fact, I'm going to, before that, I want to have a naughty question for Dhruv. All this sounds very nice, but what does it mean for your shareholders? It's not easy to maintain profit margins in such a business.
I think it's been a challenge from a shareholding point of view as well, right? And we've been through the ups and downs of being a listed company, and categories go in and out of favor. So travel went through a phase in the middle where travel went out of favor from a global investor point of view. You had a lot of new startups which are coming in, which were attracting the attention. Slowly now, you've got capital coming back again to areas which are more stable, which have more mature. They've shown maturity of the business model. There's no question around proof of concept and future and stuff like that, right? So it goes through its own swings, but I do feel, and it's very important out here, that from an investment point of view, you are investing for the future. See, at the end of the day, an investor today is buying the future value of the shares. He's not looking back, right? He's looking forward. So if we are making interesting investments and we can articulate that to the market, I think investors, if you find the right side, can be patient. If you don't find the right side, it can be very painful as well.
Basically, I find that both investors and travelers like stories.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let's come to, okay, Sabina, now that since you were talking about this whole been there, done that thing in UK and India, give us some tips on how to make travel cool.
Travel cool. I think there are cooler destinations which are available now. So for me, travel cool is, you go to newer places. For me, as a person, but we have to see the entire group. For me, romance matters. So I like places like Morocco. I like places like Casablanca was on my tick mark, did it. So I do these things where it's my personal feel. So I make travel cool for myself.
You're from Bollywood country. Do you think they will make them sing around trees in Casablanca?
No. But you see closer to home when you see travel cool. People don't go to Arunachal. So you go to places like Tawang. Okay, they are stunningly beautiful. They could be compared to any, destination internationally.
Sometimes I think, your name is just right, Yatra, because you're trying to make a tourist country into a travel country. There's a difference.
Yes.
A traveler experiences, doesn't just see.
So, like I told you, is the journey. We need to understand each customer's journey and make sure that we have the relevant product.
But what does all this new technology mean for this, AI and... or let's say virtual reality or stuff like that?
So augmented reality we've done. So we've done an app, in fact it's live on our Yatra app. So imagine you're driving down to the hill station. You decided that you want to spend a night here. Now you don't know which hotel is available. You don't want to stop at each hotel, going in, asking what the rate is, what the room is. You just open up your app, point it, and it will show you all the hotels which are available while you're driving in a map. And it will also tell you what the prices are. You just click on that. It will also tell you red or green. So if you circle with red means it's available, red means it's booked out.
It's amazing.
Cool. But I want to ask you, is this all proprietary content, or is there something that is the backend that you source from? Because
No,
there's a lot of cost involved.
All provided.
Fascinating. That's great. That's interesting. But I have a question for you, Dhruv, there, because people are increasingly talking about OYO and Airbnb, which are disrupting travel, or at least certainly the hotel industry. What does this mean for you?
See, for us, they are another potential partner, right? And with OYO, we already partner with them right now, both for our corporate travel and to a lesser extent on the consumer travel as well, because our customers are also looking for good options to stay. So this helps improve the supply quality, With regards to Airbnb, I think Airbnb is a very interesting one. At this point in time, they've largely been self-contained, but at least what one hears internationally is that they are looking at how do they partner now more actively, because the same customer who's today staying in a hotel will tomorrow stay in a homestay to that customer.
But you still say India focused? You're not seeing...
See, we've been largely India focused. I think off late we've started, especially looking at the success we've had with our business travel product. We've got some inbound demand from foreign companies who want to take the technology platform to other markets. We are also exploring whether we do this directly on our own. With Ibix, that creates another big opportunity because Ibix has strong presence across Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Europe. So that will allow us, if when the transaction is done, to use the Ibix foothold and then build our services into those markets.
Fascinating. That's a lot to do. Now, Sabina, my only question left for you is, where is your next holiday going to be?
I'm still planning it. I'm still planning it.
You will check it out on yatra.com.
No, I haven't done the Norway, Sweden, Denmark, so that is the one that I want to go to.
Oh, that's it. So you'll probably do it after the merger is through so that you'll have a sense of relief as well.
Yes, I think so. Much later, somewhere in May.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Sabina. And so here we are. Travel as an industry has changed. Thanks to technology, thanks to culture, and of course, that big word, millennial. Everywhere we see industries being transformed, industries being reinvented, and industries discovering other industries to hug and kiss. So this has been one more episode of Fireside, looking at the nooks and crannies of what businesses can be at the 21st century's beginning. I'm sure there are more journeys ahead. Look forward to more. Thanks.